Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah. I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm cash out.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode, podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat right now. We got Ivan, we got Jameson, the adventure of Fluffy? My bad, Fluffy. Fishbowl. Christopher, appreciate y'all for being here in the chat. Thank you guys so very much. We're going to have a good, fun-filled show for you guys today. We got a couple different topics to obviously dive into today. One of them, if you don't already know by the title, I understand. I get it. Right now, a lot of people are currently turned off right now with the Arizona Cardinals on a current 2-game losing streak. Definitely not ideal at all, but the destiny is still in our hands, ladies and gentlemen, and thank God for this NFC West for being just bad, that we already still have a chance with 5 games left, still at the second spot of the division, sitting at 6-6, and if the Cardinals can split with the Seattle Seahawks, you got the Panthers and you got the Patriots right behind them. So not going to say it's going to be easy. I know I said this earlier in the season. I'm going to stop saying must-win games or winnable games. I think I'm going to go back to that whole trend of continuing to try to be underdogs moving forward, because whenever you have any faith in this organization, they like to kind of slap you down and say, nope, you do not have that, right? So we're going to try to, we're going to be cautious the way we talk moving forward. Obviously, the destiny is still on the hands of the Arizona Cardinals, and we're going to have to kind of wait and see how this all shakes out. But let me go and just give a huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. It's going to be none other than BetUS. If you're looking for a brand new sportsbook, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and 125% sign-up bonus on the following 2. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the destiny is still in our hands. And on top of that, we're also going to be talking about Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray as well. There's been a lot of talks back and forth, and I've been seeing guys that have never said any negative thing about Kyler Murray. They're now starting to kind of switch up a little bit. And I'm not saying switch up by I mean like, oh, he needs to go. No, there's just a level of concern coming around your franchise quarterback. So we're going to be diving into that here as well. But yeah, let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to talk about, a lot to dive into today. So let's start off with crunch time, right? Let's start off with that, crunch time. And then we'll talk about the other stuff, right? The other stuff that people don't really like to talk about a little later on in the stream. So let's talk about crunch time. Right now, the Arizona Cardinals currently right now are sitting at 6-6. And we're still at the number 2 spot in the division. Now, did I expect coming out of the bye to be better than 0-2? Of course, yes, absolutely I do. Do I still have a little bit of positivity? I mean, a little bit of positivity, I guess I could say, right? There's still, mathematically, it's not over, right? And I know I've already seen the comments out there from multiple Cardinal fans that have been rocking with this channel for quite some time. But at the end of the day, like I said before, I don't blame those Cardinal fans that feel checked out, that feel like this Cardinals team's not going to amount to, or why give hope when usually history tells us that this team doesn't really do very good at all, right? Especially in December football. So this is all thing I need to say, right? This is the time right now where, to me, my standards as a Cardinal fan might be a little higher than other people's standards, right? Now, if you look at this season so far right now, and here's the thing. There are some fans out there, and there's some people saying that if you were going to tell me, 12 games into the season that the Cardinals are going to be 6-6, when, multiple sportsbook having us winning no more than 4, 5, 6 games, right? A lot of people would take it, right? A lot of people would take the situation. Now, to me, in the beginning of the season, I'm right there with you too, right? I probably would say that. Now, obviously, when I had my prediction out there, I think I had us anywhere upwards of like 9, 10 wins, something like that. And that's the thing, that's still attainable, right? That's still attainable. But where the Cardinals are at right now, at 6-6 with 5 games left, 6-6 or 6 wins is definitely not something that I'm going to be pleased with if that's the way the Cardinals end the season at all. No, not at all. Did the Cardinals exceed expectations at this point of the 2024 season? Yeah, I mean, some might say, right? We fought very, very hard. Defensively, we've seen some flashes. We've seen some flashes offensively, definitely a lot more scarce, right? Definitely a lot less flashes that we've seen from the defensive side of the ball, but we were at one point a 4-game winning streak, right? Before we hit our bye week and before we, started to have this 2-game losing streak, the Cardinals were looking to be probably one of the hottest teams out there. Now, if you're going to sit back and say, well, it was the teams that we played, right? It was the teams that we played. That's the reason why regardless, right? Regardless of how you get your wins, it's not easy to get wins here in the NFL. And the Cardinals were doing a very, very good job. Now, after their bye week, of course, the Seattle Seahawks game looked pretty bad offensively. Now, granted, it was an element game, and I mean by the rain. We had to deal with the 12s out there being very, very loud. And then the next game we had, us up in Minnesota. West Coast team traveling up there, change of time zone. And that's the thing, like, all the stuff that I'm saying is excuses at the end of the day, right? They're all excuses because to my expectations and to my standards, I expect this Arizona Cardinal team to at least leave the season with 8 wins, like truly. Like if they win 7 games in the 2024 season with right now at 6-6, that's a failure. It really is. Now, people are going to come out and say, well, that's progress, right? You're more than year one of Jonathan Gannon to year two. You went from 4 wins to 7 wins. But yeah, I mean, technically you're right, but you can't settle on the idea that you're 6-6 right now. You got your destiny still in your hands right now. And honestly, if the Cardinals don't win more than 7 games, I would be disappointed in the season to honestly, like, and I'm not coming out here saying, oh, everybody needs to get fired. No, that's not what I'm saying. It just won't be a great season in my opinion. Now, we could still hit 8 wins and miss the playoffs. And will I be bummed out? Yes, I would. But right now, with 5 games left, if you're telling me the Cardinals can't win at least 2 of those games, that's an absolute collapse in my personal opinion. Now, it all starts with the Seattle Seahawks here in Week 14, which is a matchup that the Cardinals are probably dying to get back on the field and prove that we're a better team than what we showed out here in Week 12 because of all the things that kind of happened, right? Division rivals, the crotch grab, right? All these things that ended up happening in that game. The pick 6 by Kyler Murray. The Arizona Cardinals defense, we've heard Mac Wilson Sr. saying that they're looking forward to this rematch, right? They're looking forward to this rematch here with the Seattle Seahawks. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. This is a perfect segue to have our destiny in the hands of the Arizona Cardinals. To me, you got to win 8 games. You have to. That means, like, and that's the thing. Like, that's such a low standard. Like, really think about it here, ladies and gentlemen. Right? So if you're gonna come out here and say, "Oh man, Mike's got standard. Mike's got this," well, think of it this way, right? You're 6-6. You're telling me you got 5 games left and you can't win 2 out of those 5 games to put you at 8 wins. And of course, you got the Patriots. Of course, you got the Panthers coming our way, right? You got to win those games. You have to win those games if you want to be a team that's even considered a competent team, right? A team that's potentially playoff bound or maybe next year to get some sort of momentum heading into next year in 2025. There's a lot riding on this game here in week 14 versus the Seattle Seahawks. And I know I said that coming out of the bye as well with the first Seahawks matchup and then the Vikings. I was like, a lot of things are riding high. A lot of things are riding on this game, but this one truly feels like make it or break it for the Cardinals. And I'm not sure if you guys feel the same way here in the chat. Let me know if you feel the same way, but this truly does feel like a make it or break it for the season for the Cardinals. Now, granted, even if the Cardinals lose this game, which I hope this doesn't happen because we're going to go back to flipping table type of season. But if that does happen, mathematically, the Cardinals aren't out of we're still not out of the race yet. Which is crazy to even think about because even if we were on a 3-game losing streak and the Cardinals lose to the Seattle Seahawks, of course, flipping table season, but mathematically, we're still not out of this whole thing. And like I said, you got to credit this NFC West for being absolutely abysmal this year. But it's one of those things where my standards is you got to win at least 8 games. You're 6 wins in right now with your franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray. And you're telling me that you can't win 2 more games? That's a fail. That's a failure. That's a failure on everything. Now, you can say to yourself, you need to win at least 9 games. Okay, cool. I love it. I love the people higher standards, because let's call it like it is, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of fans right now are just even happy that we're not the bottom of the barrel, and that we're not talking about the number one overall pick here in the NFL draft. There's some fans out there, they're like, oh, this team is great. This team is good. And realistically, I mean, yes, are they better than they were last year? Of course, right? Kyler Murray didn't start last year. We had Josh Dobbs in the first, was it 10 games of the season? And of course, Kyler Murray finished it off in the last 8 games. But you are expecting to see a level of consistency from this offense from last year to this year, and you're still kind of seeing spottiness. You're still kind of seeing a level of not being consistent, and it's frustrating as a Cardinal fan, because believe it or not, well, I guess it's not really a believe it or not statement, but we had that game. That Vikings game was in our hands to win. It was in our hands. And believe it or not, the Seattle Seahawks game, we lost by 6 freaking points. We could have won that game as well. It's just the offense right now is holding this Arizona Cardinals team back for potentially being either 1-1 or 2-0 outside the bye week. Like, truly, this Arizona Cardinal team, I believe in it so much. I truly feel like we can win at least 2 more games. Now, is 8 wins going to get you the division? Probably not, right? You're probably going to have to win at least 9 to 10 games to potentially even sniff, considering even winning the division. But it all starts here with the Seattle Seahawks game. If you can't win this game, mathematically, you're not out of it yet, but a lot of hope. We already have people checked out already. We already got Cardinals fans out here saying they're switching teams because the games that matter the most, which is in November and December, to kind of really show the fans and show the fan and the NFL what team you are, the Cardinals kind of seem to always crumble in those opportunities, right? That they don't really shine to the occasion. They don't really come up and say, yeah, I'm a playoff team. Yes, I'm really considered to potentially win this division. The Cardinals, unfortunately, history tells us that we crash and burn. And so far, what we're seeing, we're kind of starting to see that trend outside the bye week. Now, yes, do they have time to fix it? Of course they do. They got time to fix it. But can they? That's the big question out there. Jonathan Gannon speaking very, very highly of this team. He knows we can get right. He knows we can get better. Kyler Murray almost, kind of speaks the same. They all speak to the same culture. They all speak to the, hey, it's not over till it's over. But at the end of the day, if we don't have a level of urgency, if we don't have a level of, hey, this is a game you absolutely need to win, I'm almost kind of fearing the idea that people or this organization is so lucky, hunky dory, right? The culture is so established. The fact that, it's not over till it's over, that you can blink your eye and it might very well be over, after the Seattle Seahawks game. Now, like I said, you got to win that game. If you lose, technically, you're still not mathematically done with the potential 4-game winning streak to win the division, technically, right? Because of how bad this division is. But you got to start winning. Yeah, no more excuses moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. No more of these moral victories. Actually, my moral victories actually ended probably in week 3 or week 4 of this season for me personally. But it's done. It's done. This is crunch time here for the Arizona Cardinals. They need to win games. No more excuses. Kyler Murray needs to be held to a high standard. Drew Petzing, this is already his year too. We need to start criticizing this offense a lot more. We need to start saying things like, why? What are these things happening that are preventing us from winning this game? Now, obviously, we already know that, but we got to start pushing the envelope. We got to start pushing the needle a little bit more, because we're used to a fan base that doesn't really care too much, right? This fan base is not a fan base that holds this organization to a high standard, right? They don't. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say Monty Fort needs to get fired or Jonathan Gannon needs to get fired. No, this is way too early for any of that talk, right? I think the coaching staff right now has done actually a pretty darn good job for what we have in terms of talent on both sides of the ball. Yes, you can blame the coach. You can blame the front office. That's completely fine. You want to blame them? That's completely fine. But what I'm saying is this coaching staff has actually done really, really well with the stuff that we have, or I'm sorry, the players that we have in this locker room. So idealistic, I just want us to have a better standard. I want us to have more expectations for this team, because truthfully, yes, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, this is still year 2. This is year 2 of a rebuild. We've seen plenty of teams go from worst to first in 1 year, and also worst to first in year 2, right? So it's one of those things that I feel like we're just kind of used to as an Arizona Cardinals fan base, that we just kind of love the abuse, man. We love the what I like to say here is the
emotional damage.
Love it, man. We love it. But it's crunch time right now. If they don't win this game here versus the Seattle Seahawks, it's as good as any chance you have of hope, right? Any chance you have of hope from this fan base believing in this organization or this team, it's cooked, man. It's cooked. I know you got 4 games after this one, but you gotta win it. There's no excuses. You got to win this game. The destiny is in your hand, and I've said this once and I'll say it again. It's in your hands, but it's also too, it's up to this organization for stop making these silly, dumb mistakes. Organization and team and players and coaching staff, right? A lot of people are getting on Jonathan Gannon for playing scared in that last drive. And I can very well say the same thing. He did play scared, right? He did, but this is not the first time Jonathan Gannon didn't really play to win, right? It almost does seem like this is kind of what Jonathan Gannon has done. But like, do you think he had faith in this team to like this offense to actually score a touchdown? Because that's what we needed, right? Or you could have converted the 4th down and bleed more time off the clock. Yeah, those are different options that the Cardinals could have potentially done, but we couldn't score a touchdown to save our lives in this game. Everything that we did was against ourselves. So I don't in this game, I get where the people are coming from with Jonathan Gannon. Oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. But it's hindsight, right? Do you think this coaching staff truly had faith that this offense was going to be able to do anything, right? Could they have converted that 4th down? Yeah, potentially they probably could have, right? Could you have bled more time off the clock? Yeah, potentially you could have, right? But making a touchdown, the Cardinals weren't doing anything. Like, they were killing themselves left and right. So I personally don't blame Jonathan Gannon, but I do see the other side of the coin where Cardinal fans are saying he played scared. He didn't play to win. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely very well see that. But in that situation right now, in that situation right there, to me, I mean, he took the conservative approach. We still got points. Chad Ryland knocked in the field goal, and we were up by 6 points. We did hope that our defense was going to be able to stop them. And it's tough. It's tough because Sam Darnold also on the other side of the coin was doing very, very well in the second half compared to the first half. So they were hitting a very, very good stride offensively, and the defense just couldn't really stop them. But like, and that's the thing too. Like, we're all talking about that specific play, but didn't the Cardinals also have an opportunity to go down the field and score a field goal on that defense? They did. Where nobody's really focusing on that. We still had a minute and like 13 seconds left, or a minute and 10 seconds left with 3 timeouts. 3 timeouts, and this offense couldn't equate to nothing. They couldn't do nothing. So I get the hindsight of it all, but like, it almost kind of felt like a snowball coming down a mountain of, I don't know if this coaching staff really believed. I don't know if they really believed in this offense to potentially make a touchdown, because if they scored a touchdown, it wasn't over, but being up 2 possessions is very, very trending in the right direction that you're going to win this game. So I understand both sides. I understand both sides of the argument, but the way I like to look at it is, man, Jonathan Gannon made a conservative decision that he did. But at the end of the day, it was his decision. We scored 3 points. This offense was consistently beating themselves up, whether it was the false start penalty or any other freaking penalty that was thrown in there when we were in the red zone, or Kyler Murray throwing the ball in an intentional grounding call. Like, these are type of things you can't do. You can't do these things if you're wanting to consider yourself as a playoff team. So the Cardinals had plenty of opportunity, right? If you had Patrick Mahomes, if you had Josh Allen, if you had any other what people consider elite quarterbacks in that situation with a minute and 10 seconds left and 3 touchdowns, I'm sorry, wow, in 3 timeouts, that's plenty enough time for any elite quarterback to get up the field to score a field goal. Seriously, it really is. Now, I'm not coming out here saying Kyler Murray is not elite, but what I'm saying is that we're just not seeing a consistent Kyler Murray. We do not know what Kyler Murray is going to be playing on Sundays, right? Now, it's not his fault in terms of why we didn't score touchdowns and had to settle for field goals. No, it's not his fault at all, right? Play calling, penalties absolutely killed us. But in that moment, you do expect your franchise quarterback to rise to the occasion, to make those plays in a 2-minute drill with 3 timeouts and about a minute and 10 seconds left. You expect your franchise quarterback that's getting paid that much. And I'm not going to lie to you, when we had the ball, I was like, oh boy, right? Okay, let's see. Let's go Cardinals. Let's see what happens. But what did that equate to? A dink and dunk pass to Michael Wilson, a sack fumble that he ended up recovering back. On the third down, he ended up running out, rolling out to the right-hand side, and still didn't go out of bounds. He tried to shake and bake a defender. He got stopped in the end zone, which forced us to have another timeout. Then we were stuck at 4th and 10. And then, of course, we know the history, forcing the ball over to Marvin Harrison Jr., and then the rest is history from there, right? Those are the type of stuff you cannot do moving forward. You got to learn from it, right? We've heard too many times, oh, we can learn from these mistakes, but can you? That's the big question out there. Can you learn from those mistakes? And in these 5 games that we have moving forward, it's crunch time, baby. It's crunch time. You win, or you are who we thought you were, right? Or you are who we thought you were. And I hope that that's not the case for the Arizona Cardinals, but truly right now, we got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, who is this team really, right? Who is this team really? Did they exceed expectations at 6-6 with a 4-game winning streak? Maybe. Or are they better than people outside this organization / fan base thinks, and they're just constantly beating themselves, which doesn't mean they're better, because you can't beat yourself up as well if you are a team that's considering to be a playoff team. You can't. So it's one of those things, right? It's one of those things that's it's going to be very telling to see how this season ends, right? Very telling to see if the season ends. If the Cardinals stay at 6 wins and lose these next 5 games, we're having very, very uncomfortable topics heading into the offseason. I promise you, we're going to have very, very uncomfortable topics heading to the offseason. If the Cardinals win 7 games, I'm not going to be happy. I would look at the season as a failure, to be honest with you, especially right now at 6-6. That would be a failure to me. Only winning 1 out of the 5 games, that would be a failure, but I will get over it. If you win 8 games, I feel like, hey, that's a step in the right direction. Now, obviously, it depends on how you lose those 3 games as well. It's just a lot of things that need to be compiled to really know exactly how this game or the season is going to shake out here for the 2024 Arizona Cardinals. But right now, baby, it's crunch time. It's crunch time right now. So we're going to be talking about Kyler Murray right now. A lot of people are already getting involved in the chat here. And I got my guy, Herbie. What's up, Herbie? Appreciate you. He says, I still don't believe in Kyler Murray is our quarterback, but that's just me. I still think we need a guy who stays in the pocket, but can scramble as well. It's crazy right now that we're seeing a lot of rookie quarterbacks produce in year 1. Isn't it? It's nuts, right? I don't think we've seen so much rookie quarterbacks look as good as a lot of these guys are coming out in year 1, right? CJ Stroud last year. Now, granted, CJ Stroud is struggling this year in terms of his stats. He still got his team in a good position, or at least the last time I looked, he still got his team in a good position. Let me actually double check here before I even where are the Texans right now in terms of let's see, standings. So the Texans right now are still leading their division, right, at 8-5. Now, granted, their division isn't very good, but they have 8 wins still, right? So on paper, CJ Stroud is struggling, right? But CJ Stroud still looks really, really good as a quarterback. Jaden Daniels, don't even get me started on him, looks like a very, very good young promising quarterback. Bo Nix, on the other hand, looks a very, very good, solid quarterback. You got Drake May that has some flashes here and there, but you can't really judge him with the situation that he's in currently. And then you got Caleb Williams on the other side of the coin too, where I think he looks like actually a really good quarterback as well. But let's see if Eberflus was holding him back, right? Now that they made the firing, let's see what he can do with the remaining of the games moving forward. But I think he looks pretty solid as well. So yeah, I mean, it all comes with, obviously, if you're a franchise quarterback, you got to be able to win these games like this Vikings game. And unfortunately, Kyler Murray couldn't do it. And this is not the first time this has happened, right? We've also experienced it in the week prior with the Seattle Seahawks. The offense just couldn't get going. They couldn't get going at all, and it was very, very unfortunate. Now, it was for multiple different reasons, right? Last week was because our offensive line, and I mean the Seahawks, not the Vikings. The Seahawks was the offensive line couldn't protect Kyler to save him alive, and he became skittish. He became a little bit antsy in the backfield. In this last game, we had this game, but their offense got hot in the right time, and our offense kind of went dormant. So multiple different reasons as to why we lost in both games, but it's still, man, it's still one of those things that's, it depends on how the season ends. We're either going to have very uncomfortable topics in this offseason, or we're going to be talking about who we're going to be drafting because we're excited about the future, right? So 8 wins to me is my expectation. Obviously, anything above 8 wins is going to be amazing, obviously. but 8 wins is my expectation. You got to win at least 2 out of these next 5. Now, of course, that's my floor, right? Right now, that's my floor right now. If you look at the remaining of the schedule right now, you got the Seattle Seahawks, which I don't even know what's going to happen in that game, to be honest with you. You got the Patriots, you got the Panthers, you got the Rams, and then you got the 49ers. We know that this division is not very good, right? Maybe another win against the 49ers, maybe the Rams. We don't know, right? So these next games are going to be very, very crucial to decide how happy or how mad we're going to be heading into the 2025 season, ladies and gentlemen. But overall, not a bad place to be. Still with the destiny in our hands, and the division is still wide open. The division is still wide open, believe it or not, here, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm really, really excited to see this Cardinals team, see if they can rise to the occasion, right? See if they can be able to rise to the occasion. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. Now we're gonna get into a topic here that a lot of people might not want to talk about, but it's okay. We gotta talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta talk about it. Now we kind of touched on this a little bit already in the last segment, right? With really depending on how we end this season off. Either we're gonna have very uncomfortable topics in the off season, or we're gonna be excited, right? Just really depending on what happens in these next 5 games. Now I want to be very clear. Shout out to Arizona Sports. They ended up having a topic specifically about Kyler Murray. And if you guys didn't catch it, if you want to, go ahead. But we ended up hearing Bickley, which was doing his Bickley blast, and basically saying, obviously Kyler Murray, and it almost just feels like he just doesn't believe in him flat out anymore. And then talking about obviously the future of Kyler Murray. Now, I think this is a very fascinating topic to have, because I'm not gonna lie to you that there's been multiple times that it's like you lose kind of faith in what you feel like he can accomplish. And it's crazy because what brings you back in to believing in Kyler Murray is those flashes that you've seen from him, right? With him using his legs, making dynamic plays, making these big grown men miss, right? Several people at a time, him doing all these Speedy Gonzalez type of things, right? That kind of brings you back and saying, oh man, this is what he can be. This is what he can accomplish. This is what we wanted him when we got him in the first overall pick. But the thing is, it's not consistent, right? That's the big difference between if you feel like Kyler Murray's elite, a good quarterback, or not good, right? And if you look at that ranking, to me, I feel like he's a good quarterback, right? To me, we still haven't won the division since Kyler Murray's been under the helm, right? We haven't won a playoff game since Kyler Murray's been under the helm. Now, we've made it to the playoffs. It didn't seem like we deserved to be in there, but this is always the narrative that's going to be following Kyler Murray, right? It's I know there's people that came into this organization or came into this fan base because of this man right here. I'm aware of that. So for those people out there, just hear me out. It's going to be very, very important for him, and I'm talking about Kyler Murray, to win games in a fashion that brings people hope back that you can be the guy. One thing that you do not want to find yourself at is a situation where you're starting to have questions, right, about your franchise quarterback. Now, in these 2-game losing streak that we're on, nowhere near is this all Kyler Murray's fault. I want to be very, very clear. No, it's not. But on the other side of the coin, when the Cardinals are 4-0, who was the one getting the glory? Who was the one everybody talking about MVP, right? Who was the one that everybody was, man, he's going to be in the MVP race. The Arizona Cardinals are 4-0 right now. And that's one thing that people don't quite 100% get, that it works both ways, ladies and gentlemen. It works both ways. If you're talking about Kyler Murray potentially in the MVP race, right? Because we were on the 4-game winning streak, and he was looking good. And we've seen flashes of him looking like in 2021, not in all 4 games, right? But he didn't need to be. He didn't need to be 2021 in all 4 games. The defense did a really good job in the Jets game as well as the Chicago Bears game. We did a good job in order for him to not be able to always put it in his hands, right? So going back to what I was talking about, it works on both sides of the coin. If you're on a 2-game losing streak, then it switches, right? Then the narrative switches back over because you're not known as a quarterback that's going to be able to get you over the hump, right? Right now, the biggest debate that I'm seeing right now amongst fan bases, oh, I'm sorry, not fan bases, but this fan base right now, the Arizona Cardinals fan base, is the fact that people are saying they're looking for long term, right? Because right now, can Kyler Murray win you games? Yeah, oh, absolutely. He can win you games. Can he have a highlight reel in maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of the games in a season? Absolutely, right? Yeah, he can. He can put the Cardinals on the map. People talk about the Cardinals because obviously if you have a franchise quarterback that's getting paid as much as he is, you're gonna get talked about, right? Nationally. So, can Kyler Murray win you games? Absolutely. Here's what people are not understanding. There's a portion of this fan base that does not feel like Kyler Murray can win you a Super Bowl, right? Let alone a playoff game, which because we haven't seen it yet, right? So if you do not believe that he can win you a Super Bowl, that's where people are trying to jump on and saying, hey, maybe getting a plan B is not a bad idea. Now, to me, right now, with where we are at right now at 6-6, my mind's not even thinking about I need a plan B, right? I'm talking about a plan B for the quarterback. Um, that's not where my mind's going right now, right? But if this season turns south, right? And I mean 0-5, heck, even 1-4 is turning south to me. Because like I said before, what will make me happy and what will make my standard appeased is that you got to win at least 8 games. And that's 2 games, ladies and gentlemen. Is that really asking for a lot? 2 out of the 5 games you got to win? Is that really asking for a lot? No, my standard is still pretty darn low if you ask me. That's a low standard. That's an absolute low standard. You got to win the games in December that either make you a playoff team or a team that's potentially in contention to fight for your division, right? So, right now, my mind is not there. But can it be changed from week to week to week to week? Of course, because this season is going to be very, very interesting to figure out how he's going to be able to win these next 5 games. Winnable games, some might say, right? But you got to take advantage of the situation that's in front of you, right? That Vikings game, franchise quarterbacks win those games. With 1 minute and 10 seconds left, 3 touchdowns, franchise quarterbacks win those games. The Seattle game, we lost by 6 points due to a pick 6, right? Franchise quarterbacks win those games, right? And that's what people are going to start looking at moving forward. So for the people out there that are nothing is Kyler Murray's fault, there's a wave coming. If this continues to happen, there's a wave coming. I just want you to be prepared, ladies and gentlemen, that the wave you're not going to be able to stop because there's a portion of this fan base waiting in the shadows, waiting in the bushes for an opportunity to pounce. Waiting for an opportunity to pounce. So Kyler Murray's future is in his hands. It is, right? If you don't think that people are watching year 2 of your rebuild, you got another thing coming. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say if the Cardinals win 1 game out of these next 5, we're drafting a quarterback next year. I don't know if it's there, but I'm not going to lie to you. People losing faith in a franchise quarterback is definitely not a good thing at all, right? We're on a 2-game skid right now. Has he shown flashes that he can make the appropriate throws? Flashes, yes. Now, one thing that I've been kind of harping on, and I'm probably the minority in this situation, I blame everybody. This whole offense, I blame everybody. It's not just Drew Petzing to me. And that, I'm getting a lot of people riled up and getting a lot of people antsy and pissed off at me because I'm telling it like it is. I see what I see. I saw the NFL 22 film. There was plays to be made, but Kyler Murray decided to dump it off. Kyler Murray decided to dump it off instead of potentially waiting a split a second longer for your wide receiver to potentially get open. These things are happening every game. Every game it's happening. There was a play that was forced to Marvin Harrison Jr. where he had Trey McBride in the flat. And that probably could get converted for a first down. Some decisions aren't 100% accurate, right? And that's the thing. You don't have to be 100% accurate to be a franchise quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is making a lot of mistakes this year. Lamar Jackson sometimes throws the ball deep, and we don't even know what the heck is going on sometimes, right? Especially when you got Derrick Henry back there, right? These are things that happens with your franchise quarterbacks. I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, it's only Kyler. No, that's not the case. It happens with a lot of franchise quarterbacks as well. But also what makes you a franchise quarterback is being able to win those games, those Vikings games, those Seattle Seahawks games, those games that put you in where your team needs to put you at, right? It's important. It's absolutely important, ladies and gentlemen, whether you want to believe it or not. It's important. These next 5 games right now for the Arizona Cardinals are absolutely crucial and pivotal for what he can be and accomplish. What we're all looking for is consistency. What we're all looking for is consistency. The flashes are great. The highlight reels are wonderful, right? The potential is there. And I'm not saying if he's probably going to, he might do better somewhere else in another organization, potentially, right? Just kind of like the Cliff Kingsbury effect. He was our head coach, always crashed and burned at the end of the year. Guess what? He's doing fantastic when it comes down to playing with being the OC with the Commanders, right? Maybe it's just the Cardinals curse. Who knows? I don't know. But there's definitely something not being consistent, and Cardinal fans are fully aware of it, right? There's a reason why people are talking about it day in and day out. Got to prove it, man. Got to prove it. At the end of the day, you got to prove it. You're a franchise quarterback. You got to win those games. 1 minute and 10 seconds and 3 timeouts is plenty enough time to put us in field goal position. It is. It is. Watch multiple of Patrick Mahomes. And I know Patrick Mahomes is the creme de la creme. It's hard to compare him to anybody. I get that. I understand. But you got a quarterback like that, you always believe, right? Patrick, Josh Allen, Lamar. Who else is up there? I'm blanking right now, but there's a lot of quarterbacks. There's a couple of quarterbacks out there that as well that you have faith that in the 2-minute drill, you're going to be able to get it done. I don't know. I'm still a little, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Right now, I don't know. I don't know. These 5 games are crucial to me. Very, very crucial. We got my guy Nate in the chat says OC is not calling good plays though. Well, let me ask you this, Nate. Have you watched the All 22 film? If not, I know a lot of people don't have access to it. Or have you watched a game in a playback yet, right? And I know it's kind of hard, but let me ask you that. Have you watched the game in a playback? There was decisions that were made that shouldn't have been made, is what I'm trying to get at. Does play calling affect? Yes, it does. Absolutely. And that's why I'm not saying it's all him and all be all. But keep in mind, in the 4-game winning streak, what were you all talking about? You're talking about MVP, right? We're all talking about MVP, maybe potentially MVP race. It goes both ways, ladies and gentlemen. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. You're on a 2-game losing streak right now. Can he get out of it? That's the big question out there, right? That's the better question out there. Now, my guy got my Ian here says, I believe in Murray. Well, good. Keep it up. I'm hopefully that's enough for him to win some games. Your belief and the other thousands that believe that he can't do any wrong. Hopefully that's enough. Got Ty saying ROC is not it. Well, let me ask you guys this. What is the other solution? I know when I asked this, I believe it was on my post-game show, somebody said get Ben Johnson, right? Okay. What if it doesn't work with Ben Johnson? Okay. So what then, right? We need 3 offensive-minded guys in order for us to believe it's not that person, right? Like, we already fired our head coach already. Like, doesn't the process of elimination, the next guy, like, isn't that the next step, the next peg? Or you just keep firing people in order for us to make us look better? Like really ask yourself that. If you are the head coach or a general manager of an organization on a quarterback that's got 6 years, right? And he didn't work with Cliff Kingsbury, which Cliff Kingsbury brought him because he was like, I can do wonders with Kyler Murray. And guess what? Cliff Kingsbury is doing wonders with Jaden Daniels. Is he not? Is he not? So if you're the head coach or a general manager of this organization and you brought in somebody else that everybody was saying, oh, Cliff was making him trying to be the Superman. Am I wrong or am I right? We've all said it. Oh, man, Cliff Kingsbury, too much on his plate. Okay, well, now we got somebody that doesn't put too much on his plate. And now the excuses are, oh, well, these play calling is terrible. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Situationally, there's a couple different things that I'm scratching my head out and being like, what's going on? Why are we running on a 3rd and 7? What the heck? right? What's going on there? But I'm also scratching my head sometimes and saying, why are you forcing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. or why are you overthrowing that ball to Michael Wilson, right? Why are you doing that? Why is the ball sailing over people's head? Why aren't you seeing Trey McBride completely open in the back of the end zone? It goes both ways, ladies and gentlemen. And that's one thing that I don't quite 100% get why people are just constant. Because what's the next thing, right? Ben Johnson. Okay, let's bring Ben Johnson. What if it doesn't work, right? History is telling us it doesn't work. So then what, right? I get the faith and I get you want to back your franchise quarterback. And I'm backing him too. But all I'm saying is that if this season goes south, that's all I'm saying, right? That's all I'm saying. If the season goes south, prepare, just prepare for the uncomfortable conversations in the offseason. He had 8 games with Drew Petzing last year, won 3 out of those 8 games, right? Was it 3? Yeah, won 3 out of those 8 games. Look, you know, we gave him a mulligan because Kyler Murray was new to the system, needs to fix his footing, needs to fix this, needs to fix that, right? All these different things, right? Excuses galore when it comes down to it, but now he's got a 17 sample size now, right? 17 sample size. So we got 12 games in and we're a 500 team, right? These next 5 games, we can either be a 7-win team, 8-win team, 9-win team, 10-win team, or 12-win team, right? No, 5 games. I'm sorry. 11-win team. That's the high. That's the highest you can get. 11 wins. Can they go on a 5-game winning streak? Yeah, probably. And guess what? People will talk of then. Well, then we'll say, "Oh yeah, MVP. We're back, baby. MVP race again." Cuz that's what I'm saying. This goes both ways. Who's going to change the narrative? Him. Who's going to change the narrative? Him. Can we win the division when the destiny is actually in our hands? Right? The 2-minute drills. So, OC, Drew Petzing, I get it. I understand where people are coming from. I understand where the anger is coming from with people saying, "Oh, he's not putting us in a good position to succeed," right? But you've gone through 2 already offensive-minded guys, right? You already went through 2. You're going to go through a third and feel confident, especially if the season goes south. Now, keep in mind, this talk is contingent if this season goes south, right? That's what this talk is talking about. If contingent, this season goes south. If it doesn't, and the Cardinals win 8 games or 9 games, we don't got to worry. Rest your pretty heads on your pillow, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about the absolute worst case scenario for Kyler Murray's future, right? Worst case scenario. Because let me ask you guys this. What if we do win 6 games? What if we do win 7 games? And that's it. What say you then? Fire Petzing and we're good to go for next year? That's the plan? Well, yeah, let me ask you that, chat. Let me ask you. If you win 6 games, Oli, or 7 games, obviously 6 games means you're going 0-5 with the rest of the 5 games. I don't believe that's going to happen. But if you win 7 games, what say you? Just fire Petzing and everything will be good to go? Keep in mind, Jonathan Gannon brought Petzing in there. He believes in Petzing. He believes in his system. So that's telling you're telling your head coach, fire him. Remember Bruce Arians? Bruce Arians refused to get rid of his guys. Refused to the point of, I believe Bruce Arians was forced out of this organization from being a head coach. Now, I don't know if Jonathan Gannon is going to get to that level, right? Obviously, it depends on what happens, but he believes in Petzing. Glowing remarks about Petzing. He brought him in here because he loves his offensive scheme, right? So it's not your decision. It's Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenforth's decision at the end of the day, right? So if you win 6, 7 games only, now I might see some comments on here saying, "Oh, 7 games is progress. Let's go." Okay, well, I'm going to skip those comments because that's not my standard, right? That's not my standard. But it's a big question. We got Isaac in the chat saying 9-8. Oh, sorry, 9-8, 10-7, calling it now. If this happens, then we don't worry. then we don't worry at all. This topic and this conversation was brought up, obviously, by a topic that was brought up here on Arizona Sports, which obviously I feel like it's a very good topic to have back and forth because it brings a level of engagement. It brings a level of people actually having opinions on this whole situation, right? I'm talking about the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is you win one game in this 5-game stretch. That's the worst case scenario, ladies and gentlemen, because I just told you what my standard is. My standard is you got to win 8 games. 8 games, I'm cool. I'm golden. I'm good. You win 7 games, I will be absolutely disappointed. I would be, but I'll get over it. You don't win any games, oh, the sky is falling, right? Oh, the sky is falling, ladies and gentlemen. The sky is falling. 8 games is my floor. That's my floor. Keep in mind. I'm not saying, all I want is 8 wins and I'm good. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's my floor. 8 wins is my floor. You give me 9, 10 wins, cool, let's go. 8 wins probably won't get you the division. It won't. But that just kind of shows you how low standards we actually have, right? I'm not being too hard to ask for 2 wins out of the 5. I'm not asking that hard. Now, obviously, it depends on what happens in those other 3 games. If you win 8 games but absolutely get obliterated in those other 3 games, then we're having a different conversation because everything matters. Everything is being put into in perspective is the word I'm trying to say, right? Everything is. You get blown out in those 3 losses, then we're having a different conversation. We got my 8 wins, cool. But you got blown out in those 3 games, and then I'm not a happy camper, right? If you lose games like these Vikings games and you're in these games, but you lose, it would be hard pill to swallow, but we'll get over it. Because, guys, guess what? We're Cardinals fans, and we're used to it. And all we're waiting for is progress. But to me, with where we're at right now, progress isn't 7 wins. No. Progress is 8 and plus wins from me. At least that's my standard. That's my standard, right? So let me ask you this. Okay. We got my guy One and Only here on the chat saying my floor is playoffs. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. One and Only, and I haven't been paying too much attention to the chat, and I apologize, guys, but let me ask you this specifically to my guy One and Only, right? If we don't make the playoffs, okay, so what then? What's the solution there? Firing anybody? New plan for something else? Well, okay, that's your floor. All right, that's a good floor. I love it. I'm not saying no, don't think that way. Good. I'm glad somebody has some sort of what am I trying to say? Some sort of expectations. I love it. I love it. Let's get more fans like this. Let's get more fans like this, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. I love it. Okay, so what happens if they don't? That's your floor. It's just, okay, cool, no worries. Wrap it up next season, or are you talking about heads will roll? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Massively curious, because if this is the floor, if they don't accomplish it, then what? What then? Heads will roll, or is it just one of those things where it's just like, okay, well, let's see what 2025 brings to us, right? Claymore in the chat says, fire Petsing now, don't wait until next year. You win 8 games, Petsing ain't going anywhere. Sorry to break it to you, ladies and gentlemen. You win 8 games, Petsing ain't going anywhere. Kyler probably ain't going anywhere either. You got to have an absolute debacle to break down in order for Petsing to go anywhere. And that's the thing. People feel like it's Petsing, and that's the answer. It's not just Petsing, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to break it down to you. It's not just Petsing. It really isn't. But you win 8 games, Petsing ain't going anywhere at all. We got my guy One and Only. Appreciate the response. He says offense would definitely be to blame. Might have to build and drop key factors. Okay. All right. Action. I love it. Okay. I love it. Action. Love to hear it. Love to see it. 100%. Offense right now, and I'm glad everybody kind of sees this the way that I see it as well, because to me, your offense is supposed to be your bright spot, right? You got a franchise quarterback. You got to pay a guy that's paying $200 million plus dollars, that you're paying him, right? I'm glad. Good. Okay. All right. Love to see it. Love to see it. What's up, Ian? Ian says, Mike, we also have to realize this team was also a 4-win season. And that's the thing. Here we go. Here we go. Ian, this is my guy, Ian. And I, no disrespect, but this is what I'm talking about, right? This is the standard from certain Cardinal fans. Progress, right? As long as you see progress, everything's good and gravy, right? I'm somewhere in the middle, right? My expectations isn't playoffs. It would have been if we won these 2 freaking games. It would have been. But I don't want to set myself up to fail, right? But perfect example right here, right? And like I said, no disrespect, but this is what people think. This is what people feel, right? Mike, we also have to realize this team was a 4-win team last season. We have already surpassed expectations. Anything more is a bonus. A bonus. We all have I can't speak. We have all draft picks and $100 million in cap space for next season. True, but if you start paying James Conner, which we already did, right? If you pay Budda Baker, Kazir White, maybe Will Hernandez, that $100 million gets dropped down. So you're right. But trusting the process usually doesn't work. Usually doesn't work for the Cardinals. Usually. Now, again, it's a brand new regime, right? Completely brand new regime. Trust the process. A lot of people are a little snake bitten to think of the idea that trusting the process actually works. Can Monty prove us wrong? Absolutely. Prove us wrong? Absolutely. Will he? We'll have to kind of wait and see, right? But are you willing to bank your buck that, let's say, for example, we have another 6-7 win season next year, right? Because I'm pretty certain if the Cardinals are 8 games in or win, your guys' plan of Drew Petzing, I don't think he's going anywhere. I honestly do not think he's going anywhere. That's just a guesstimation. That's just an opinion. I could be wrong. I've been wrong several times before. I just don't think he's going anywhere. And neither is Kyler if you win 8 games, right? What we were talking about earlier is the absolute bottom worst of the situation that happens. And that is either 1 win in these next 5 games or 0 wins in the next 5 games. That's when we start talking about Kyler Murray's future. Andrew, what's up, man? He says Drew equals problem, but firing him isn't a solution. Grow. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But that goes for everything, right? That goes for everything. It's not just Drew, right? To me. See, this is the way I think of it. 100%. I'm going to take your super chat, but I'm also going to kind of build off of my thing, right? Drew equals problem, he says, but firing him isn't the solution. Grow. What does that mean? Do not take the scapegoat out of this. Jonathan Gannon has said multiple different times that his coaching style is to develop. That's his coaching style. That's probably different. That's probably the same thing with the guys under him, right? Offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. He brought them in here to develop them to potentially be head coaches for the future as well. Players, coaches, everything alike. That is Jonathan Gannon's mantra. So Drew equals problem, but firing him isn't a solution. Grow. I feel the same way about Drew that I feel about Kyler, that I feel about this offensive plan, right? Right now, that's my mind too. Trading him away, it does you nothing, right? We don't have a plan B. We don't. We got no plan B. There's no plan B at all. This quarterback, it's not Clayton Tune, right? I know a lot of people get on me with Clayton Tune. It's not plan B, ladies and gentlemen. It really isn't. The solution isn't to let go or trade at this point right now. And obviously you can't trade him away, so that's irrelevant. But what I'm saying is it's grow. You got to get better. Get better. That's what you need to do. Get better. That's it. The mistakes that you made, Tip Ryman, your false starts, get better. The offensive line, Swiss cheese in week 12, get better. Guess what? They did better. They did better in week 13 versus the Vikings. They allowed 1 sack, and it was in that 2-minute drill. Right? In that last 1 minute, that was their first sack on Kyler Murray. Offensive line did better. Defensive line was actually done pretty darn well all year. Believe it or not. A lot of people love to blame the offensive line. This O-line is actually doing a lot better than people think, right? A lot better than people are thinking. So yeah, grow. Get better. Don't do these dumb penalties that beat you up. Make better reads, Kyler. Make better situational play calling, Drew, right? Everybody is in place here. I guess if you want to throw another one, Jonathan Gannon, believe in your offense a little bit more, which at that point, like I said before earlier in the stream, I don't blame Jonathan Gannon for taking the points. This offense looked so clunky still in week 14. Still. So that's where my mind is going. I just want to be very, very clear. Junior, what's up, man? Appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so very much. This is a great conversation. Thank you so very much for the super chat, my guy. He says this. What's up, Mike? My floor is playoffs. If we don't make it, we shouldn't fire any coaches. I believe we got ahead of the rebuild. This is a great process. These coaches won games with no star player on the team. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So let me read this back. My floor is the playoffs. If we don't make it, we shouldn't fire any coaches. I believe we got ahead of the rebuild. This is a great process. And this is exactly what I'm saying too, right? Although my floor is 8 wins, keep in mind, that doesn't mean I want to win 8 games, right? I see what you're saying. Your floor is the playoffs, right? That's your expectation. That's great. That's fantastic. That's wonderful, actually. I'm glad that you have expectations, but I'm also glad you actually mentioned this as well. If we don't make the playoffs, we shouldn't fire any coaches. I am right there with you because guess what? I think we could still win 8 games. I really do. I think we can win 8 games, even if we miss the playoffs, because you're probably not going to get into the playoffs with winning a division with 8 games. You're probably not. You don't fire coaches. You don't. Like I've said before, sorry to toot your guys, or break anybody's dreams. In my opinion, I don't think Drew Petzing is going anywhere. Anywhere. Nowhere. If the Cardinals win 8 games. And that's the same thing for Kyler. Kyler's not going anywhere. Anywhere. If we win 8 games. The future is bleak if we don't win more than 1 game in his next 5-game stretch. But that means you lost to the Panthers. That means you lost to the Patriots. That means you lost to potentially the Rams, the 49ers, and you got swept by the Seahawks, right? That's the worst case scenario, ladies and gentlemen. And that's one thing I want to be very, very clear. The reason why we brought this topic up was because I ended up hearing here on, great topic here in Arizona sports, and there's a lot of people that just don't believe in them anymore. And that's the thing. I don't blame anybody. The way that you feel is the way that you feel. I'm not here to try to convince anybody. I'm just here to give you my take in the whole situation, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's all I'm here for. I'm giving you my take in the whole situation. If the Cardinals win 8 games, which is my floor in terms of win-loss record, all I'm saying is that nobody's going anywhere. Drew's not going anywhere. Kyler's not going anywhere at all. That progress is enough to get you to 2025 and try to build off of that 8 wins. That's a Lions rebuild, baby. That's a Lions rebuild, baby. So there's that. But I agree. I agree with you, Junior. I absolutely agree with you. I love that everybody's floor is the playoffs, though. That gets me juiced up. That gets me pumped up because that means we're getting expectations back in this freaking organization and / fan base. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Ivan with another super chat, $10 dono. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much. He says, we can't overreact. This team was built on a budget. True. That's the truth. Built on a budget. We have a young roster. If we're in any other division of football, we're not in these conversations. No Hall of Fame quarterbacks falling in our lap anytime soon. Yes. Let's break this apart, right? A couple different things. Yes, you're right about the budget. That's the truth, right? I don't know if Monty Austin Force just doesn't like to spend. It's really hard to gauge that. We never going to have as much as we're going to have in this coming year. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that all shakes out, right? Do got a young roster. That's the truth. Kyler isn't young, though. That, in my opinion, he's not young. He's already a 6th year and going into a 7th year next year. So he's not young. If we were in any other division in football, we're not having these conversations. I mean, to be honest with you, if we were in any other division in football, with probably the exception of the South, and I mean the NFC South, we probably wouldn't be having these conversations about even making the playoffs. The NFC West is so darn bad this year that we're having these conversations about potentially still winning the freaking West because of how bad we are, right? No Hall of Fame quarterbacks falling in our lap anytime soon. That's fair too. Now, it's hard to not see these young rookie quarterbacks. And I get it. It's not always greener on the other side. But Bo Nix has looked really good with Sean Payton. Really good. What has he got? 8 wins under his belt already? As a rookie? Jaden Daniels already doing what he's doing with Cliff Kingsbury, former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, as a rookie. As a rookie, right? Who else? Drake May showing flashes here and there. I wouldn't put him up there. Caleb Williams has shown flashes here and there. I wouldn't put him up there, like I said a little earlier. We don't know what J.J. McCarthy is going to look like, but imagine what J.J. McCarthy can do if Sam Darnold's looking this great with Kevin O'Connell, right? So these rookies don't help the situation if they're looking this good. Now, C.J. Stroud was probably the only rookie that looked good last year. Now Bryce Young is starting to kind of get it. Now it's starting to click, right? Let's see what Bryce Young can do with the Panthers moving forward. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But, yeah, I mean, these rookies don't help. Let me just say, these rookies do not help in how good they're looking coming out of college right now. So, it depends on what your expectation is, though, right? We're going back to that. Depends on what your expectation is. If you just want progress is what you're going to get. I think that 8 wins is attainable. And if it's not, uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable topics, ladies and gentlemen, then flat out,
You lose! Good day, sir!
then we lose. Good day, sir, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We're going to be closing up shop here. Actually, let me get the, we got my guy Ivan here. Let me see what he says. He says, no film on them. Stroud has struggled in his second year with a better team around him. Defensive coordinators have jobs to do too. Yeah, 100%. He is struggling. We did mention CJ Stroud is looking a little bit more skittish, but he's got 8 wins, man. 8 wins, and he's still winning his division, right? That's the thing. Sometimes that matters, right? Sometimes stats are not always what people want to talk about, but if the stats don't equate to the wins, or if the wins don't equate to the stats and things are kind of going back and forth and inconsistencies show, then people start talking, right? Because you're right. CJ Stroud is hitting a sophomore slump right now. Yeah, he is. But he still got 8 wins. Would you take 8 wins? Would you take 8 wins in the division right now? Ask yourself. Would you take 8 wins in the division right now? That's year 2 CJ Stroud. That's not year 6. That's year 2 CJ Stroud right now, right? So, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we do, right? We like to look at the other side. Great conversation all around. Like I said, we're talking the worst case scenario. But I think right now, because I feel like we can win at least 2 more games out of these next 5, I think we're in a good spot. I think we're good. I don't think we have to have uncomfortable, emotionally damaged conversations this offseason, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see what happens moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We are going to be closing up shop. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to every one of you guys. Let me give you another huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, BetUS. Looking for a brand new sportsbook? BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on the first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following 2. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You guys in the chat, you guys are the real ones. Thank you, guys. Do me a huge favor. Smack up the like button on your way out. It's been a pleasure. Great conversations all around. All the channel members, everybody out there. Thank you. All right, y'all. We're going to close up shop. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.